8, 7. Okay.
Welcome, spirits, suckers, and sages, to the 219th episode of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 9th of August, 2017, and featuring Jago Litefoot Series 1, The Spirit Trap, written by Jonathan Morris, and starring Trevor Baxter as Professor George Lightfoot, Christopher Benjamin as Henry Gordon Jago, and Lisa Bowerman as Ellie Higson. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell,
I have a new setup for the stream.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Illness sucks.
Aaron Romeo Moonberg,
I'm full of tacos.
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Whoa, zippa-da-doo-dah.
Zippity day.
Hooray.
My oh my.
All right.
So coming up on tonight's show, we have the news, and there's not really that much news.
Plenty of birthdays, though.
Well, yeah, it is kind of a birthday week, but not a lot of actual factual news. And then, of course, the 5-minute challenge, which will normally be about an hour in. We'll see if we can fill in anything else. And then our episode review, immediately following the 5-minute challenge. So, since we obviously don't have much to say, moving on to birthdays. First birthday was on August 5th, and that is the birthday of Brian Minchin, the script editor for much of modern Doctor Who, and has been the standing executive producer since 2013 alongside Stephen Moffat. He announced recently that, I believe we also reported this, he will be leaving with Stephen Moffat and heading towards Moffat's production company, Hartswood West, makers of Sherlock, where he will take up the position of head of drama development. Anyway, Brian turned 39, so happy birthday, Brian. Next on the 6th, we have Ron Jones, a director during the 5th and 6th Doctor era, who would have turned 72 had he not died in 1993 at 47. Ron directed such episodes as Black Orchid, Time Flight, Arc of Infinity, Frontos, Vengeance on Veros, and Mind Warp. So kind of a mixed bag there.
Very mixed bag, but most of it good.
Yeah, but from the beginning of the 5th Doctor era to the end of the 6th, basically.
Then moving forward to August 7th, we have the birthday of Wayne Knight, who played Brian Friedkin on Torchwood Miracle Day. However, you would probably recognize Wayne from his other roles, which includes Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park.
Watson, we got Watson here. Nobody cares.
The character Newman on Seinfeld. And he was also in Space Jam, although I do not directly remember him in that movie.
Oh yeah, he was in there. He was the even bigger comic relief.
He turned 62.
He gave the long spiel of all of Michael Jordan's commercial deals.
Yeah, I don't remember Space Jam that well. I think I've seen it once.
I've seen it at least 2 or 3 times.
It was
not bad
definitely
if people
a
seem to pan
cornerstone
it.
of my childhood. So
I think its badness is over exaggerated.
agreed.
I definitely recognize him from Jurassic Park. I mean, he
Yeah.
was he was
I think that's-
asshole that caused everything that.
He's the one that caused
Yeah.
everything to go down, and he's very memorable in that role.
I remember him in Seinfeld too, because he was
Mhm.
what's his face, George Costanza's like arch rival.
Newman. Newman.
Yeah,
He was the postal worker.
Uh-huh.
You know, I actually, he was the one I always saw whenever someone was talking about Seinfeld, so I just assumed that he was Seinfeld because that's how little I knew about the show.
I watched.
But he was always the one that was on screen whenever someone talked about
I
Seinfeld.
never really was a regular for Seinfeld, but I would catch the occasional episode.
Yeah, same here.
Generally, I would watch because of not Seinfeld, but what's his face, the guy that eventually went on a racist rant and lost all of his popularity.
Michael Richards.
There's
Yeah,
like
Michael
one
Richards.
of those every month nowadays.
Yeah, I know, but I knew Michael Richards when he was Stanley Spadowski from UHF. So
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to August 8th. It's the birthday of Terry Nation, and if you don't know who that is, who the hell are you and why are you listening to this podcast? He's only the creator of the Daleks.
What are the Daleks?
Punch you in the soul.
See, I specifically didn't describe him as that because there's the whole thing about how the guy who actually created the visual design is constantly ignored.
Yes.
Even though he deserves at least as much credit.
He created the visual aspect of the Daleks, but Terry Nation created the concept of Daleks.
Yeah.
He created the concept and also the background as things.
I would call Terry Nation the creator and the other guy the realizer.
Yeah.
Much like Ron Grainer is the creator of the Doctor Who theme, and Delia Derbyshire is the realizer.
Mm-hmm. The actual create.
Now I got to remember which one
maker.
was Finger and which one was Kane.
Anyway, Terry Nation would have turned 87 had he not died in 97 at 66. Terry Nation is also the creator of such wonderful series as The Survivors and Blake 7. So pretty much one of the most influential figures in British sci-fi of the 1970s. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Blake 7. I keep hearing it's really good. I have yet to have a chance to watch it.
Blake 7 is worth the watch if
when I have the time.
It has the most depressing ending, though. I
So
will tell you this.
Although the audio adventures, do the audio adventures continue them or not?
I don't know if it continued to where it left off or not, but I think it might be a reboot. Because I think it's all different actors and stuff.
I thought they had some returning ones, but okay.
If they are, they're not in the same role. They're just kind of cameoing. But no, Blake 7 had 4 seasons. It was brilliant dystopian sci-fi, which, British was known for in the 70s. But this one was, you followed the course of the resistance, not there. So it was like you were watching the Hope. It was kind of like Star Wars done British style,
It was Star Wars done on a smaller budget for TV, and instead of a actual huge brigade of rebels, you were watching like one starship of them, and they had a rough time of it.
Yes, they did, and they were like the only one, but they had like the most powerful starship in the universe.
Which is why they didn't get instantly snuffed.
Anyway, it's a very good series, and it had some of the most classic and best actors ever. You okay, Matt?
Yeah, somebody did like a big static spike on their mic, and I don't know who it was.
Might have been me. I leaned back for a moment,
Oof.
and I've got a fan on my back. Anyway,
Wasn't me,
next
I was muted.
would be Earl Cameron, also on August 8th. He was Williams in The 10th Planet, turned 100. Cameron has the distinction of being the first black lead actor in a British film. Cameron was also in Thunderball alongside Sean Connery's James Bond. He is the third Doctor Who actor to reach the age of 100 and is currently the oldest surviving cast member. So congratulations on that.
Yes.
Good shit.
God run.
Is that a great run? Yeah.
It's a God run.
Yeah, you hit 100, you know.
Whoa, that was another spike.
Yeah, not sure about that one.
I didn't
Anyway,
hear it on my end, so.
August
Weird.
9th, which was tonight, happy birthday to Roberta Tovey, who was Susan in the 1960s Dalek movies, alongside Peter Cushing.
Yep.
She turned 64. Tovey seemed to have stopped acting in the 1980s, so either she went to stage or she decided to concentrate on family.
Either or. I'm sure she's done enough by now that she's perfectly fine, probably. She started acting very young, so.
Yep. Yeah, the fact that she's only 64, when you look at, where most of the actors and actresses from Doctor Who are now
well into
that
the
started.
80s, yeah.
All right. So we go from birthdays to lost stories. Aaron.
Okay, so unfortunately, we have lost Haywell Bennett at the age of 73. He is best known for playing the role of Shelley in the ITV comedy. The role of Shelley.
Playing in
the
Shelley as
70s.
Shelley.
Yeah, basically playing as Shelley. But for Doctor Who, he is known as Rinian the Aridian. Rinian the Aridian in The Death of Time, which is the second episode of The Chase, starring William Hartnell as the Doctor. Now, he grew up in London, and he seemed to have quite a bit of success in the 60s, a bit. He was in The Virgin Soldiers, The Family Way, Twisted Nerve. He would also become famous for playing James Shelley in the Thames television sitcom. So, and then there's also the return of Shelley. Oh, and he's also had parts in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Okay.
Like it seems like it would be the original one, I believe, not the recent remake.
Yeah, most
Was he
likely.
the Tailor? I bet he was the Tailor.
He was Ricky Tarr. Is that the Tailor? I don't know. I have not read the Kari novel yet. I would like to. I've heard that they're very good. All right. So he is survived by his daughter Emma too, by the way. All right.
Next.
All right. Well, normally we would go to episode news, but there is no episode news right now. It has been all silent on the BBC front as far as upcoming episodes. No Doctor Companion news. So we go to merchandise. Tim.
Merchandise. And do we have merchandise? We have Dr. Men figurines. 4 figures based on the Dr. Men series of books.
No Dr. Men flamethrower, though.
Nope. That's in development, I think.
You have to buy that individually.
Based on the storytelling and illustrative style of Roger Hargreaves. And aren't they the most adorable things you ever seen? We have Dr. First, Dr. Fourth, Dr. 11th, and Dr. 12th. Oh, and Dr. 12th is just too cool with those shades. Oh yeah, I'm Dr. 12th, baby. Oh ha ha. I know that was a flawless impression of Peter Capaldi. You don't have to say so.
4 Dr. Men books have been published so far, with books featuring the 2nd, 7th, 8th, and 9th to be released later this month.
Yep.
So
each figure will retail for £9.99.
So what's with the monocle on the first? Anybody here remember the first Doctor wearing a monocle?
He'd occasionally pop in a monocle.
But it was very rare. I wouldn't have, considered that to be,
They want an extra detail, so why not? So
Yeah,
either that or
because
you put the hat on them. And how often do they wear the hat?
Actually, yeah, the scarf. Well, the scarf was mainly a 10th Planet thing, but I'm not sure if, or even
I
his
really don't count
that
that either.
unusual tie that nobody seems to know the actual name of.
Yeah, I would think some of that would have been more than the monocle, because you look at, Dr. Fourth, he's got the wide-brimmed hat and the scarf.
Mm-hmm.
The two things that the Fourth Doctor's known for, other than, they'd put a package of jelly babies in his hand.
The only other thing I could think of that would be very much First Doctor would be if he had the black cloak that he often wore.
That's too much
as well.
clothes for a Mr.
But
Man
that's
figurine.
also too much for a Mr. Man, yeah.
Yeah, and the 11th has the fez and the bow tie.
So
No mop.
So yeah, literally got pull strings, to be honest, and I'm perfectly fine with the monocle.
And Dr. 12th has the sonic shades. God damn it.
The only other thing you could give him is the guitar, and that still doesn't quite work.
Yeah, I know. I just hate those damn shades.
Anyway,
going forward, we do have an interview.
Yep. So Jodie Whittaker has given her first interview since her casting. She has given a few lines in the past, but not very much. This was speaking with BBC Radio 6, and I did see that the interview was on YouTube, although I did not have a stable enough connection at the time that I was doing the news to actually listen to it in its entirety. But the Independent has gotten some quotes from it. Those who've been following know that she hasn't been on social media. Not sure if she temporarily closed her accounts or if she just never had them in the first place. She says she's missed a lot of the fun stuff and probably the bad stuff. Okay. So correction, I missed this line. She says she's not on any type of social media and never has been. She also mentioned that whatever she has gotten has been a friend sending a screenshot, and they obviously edit out the most extreme bits. She was very happy about a video of a young girl watching it and finding out Doctor Who's being played by a girl. She says seeing things like that are really amazing. She mentioned in the interview how growing up that those types of roles, such as playing a time-traveling alien with two hearts, seemed untouchable by women and never in the realm of possibility ever. So she's very emotional and happy, she says, about the fact that that is now a possibility, something that she never would have imagined as being possible.
They've been debating since the 80s, so it's been about time.
Yeah.
In short.
All right.
Time joke.
So from there, we're moving straight into our big finish.
We're all ready.
Like I said, there's not a lot of news. It's only been just over 15 minutes, and we're already in the big finish news. What the hell?
Oh, damn, you're right.
So, in the current out now for Big Finish, the first thing we have is the new Torchwood, The Dying Room, with Simon Russell Beale. The blurb for it is, in this room, everyone learns the truth, and neither of us will be quite the same when we leave. Paris, 1940s. The German-occupied city is in a state of turmoil. A plague ravages the streets, turning people into deformed monsters. The city's finest hotel is under siege. SS interrogator Grau has come here to find out the truth. Grau has one night, cure the plague, and to unmask the mysterious Madame Berber and who she's really working for. Herr Grau knows all about Project Hermit, and now he's going to find out about Torchwood. So that is on sale for $7.99 download, $9.99 CD. That is £7.99, etc. And this is also part of a Torchwood bundle, which you can purchase stories 13 through 18 together for £55 on CD or $45 on download.
I just have one question. So the cover here, is that supposed to be Simon Russell Beale?
I think so.
So he looks like Rodney Dangerfield.
A little more serious than Rodney
A
Dangerfield.
serious Rodney Dangerfield. Just saying. It's the first thing that struck me. It's like, I've seen this face before. Anyway.
All right, so Doctor Who has reached into its ancient bag, pulled out 2 of their CD-only releases from the early days, and have now made them available for download. So you can now download Colin Baker's stories, Her Final Flight, and Cryptobiosis, which I've actually think I've listened to.
Yeah, if you had a subscription in the early days, you definitely would have gotten it.
Her Final Flight was originally released in 2004. So it's pre-New Who. It takes place between Trial of a Time Lord and Time in the Rani. So it should be, actually, it's with Perry. So
Yeah, so that's a Perry story.
And then Cryptobiosis is also...
That's right, he did get Perry in the extended stuff, didn't he?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stories with an older Perry, I believe. I haven't heard any of them yet, but that's what I've been led to believe.
Cryptobiosis takes place between the Revelation of the Daleks and Trial of a Time Lord, and follows the Big Finish story-ish, which I know I've listened to.
Yeah.
And these are re-available on £5 each for CD, but are now available for download £3.99. So
about $4 each.
Yep. So if you haven't listened to them, now's the good time.
And you can get them both for less than $10.
Now, if only they would put the 4 Doctors available for standalone purchase.
Give them time.
Later.
All right, so coming soon, and this looks like a main range release, is Doctor Who, The Blood Furnace by Eddie Robson, starring Sylvester McCoy, Bonnie Langford, and Sophie Aldred. The TARDIS brings the Doctor, Ace, and Mel to a recently reopened shipyard in Merseyside. It's 1991, the hardest of times. But now they're shipbuilding once again, thanks to the yard's new owner, the Dark Alloy Corporation. A miracle of job creation, but is it too good to be true? While the Doctor and Ace go in search of an alien assassin at loose on the yard, Stuart Dale, discoverer of the near-magical Dark Alloy material, has an extraordinary proposition to make his old college friend Mel. But who is the corporation's mysterious client? Who does he really represent? And what's the secret of the blood furnace? Seeking answer, the Doctor and friends are about to find themselves in very deep water.
Ooh.
And that is available for pre-order, $12.99, download $14.99 CD. I do not see the release date.
Unless it's already out?
No, it's
coming
pre-order
soon. Right now?
Yeah.
So it's got to be coming out soon. If they're doing pre-orders right now, I would assume it's going to be out within the month.
It does say next, so
probably next month.
Yeah, either I'm not. Did we cover a main range release last week?
I don't recall.
Okay, so
I don't recall one, so it's probably by the end of this month.
It's probably later this month.
Okay. And that is all the Big Finish news we have. We have one more piece of additional news. Aaron.
Okay, so, of course, PETA just has to get in a word on the doctor's diet in particular. coming up, they have written a letter to the BBC asking that the Doctor be made vegan. Okay. In particular, they've written this to showrunner Chris Chibnall, asking him for this to be the case. And that with Jodie Whittaker coming in and with Chris Chibnall, they feel that it's kind of a great time for them to just kind of nail this down, apparently. Especially since PETA argues that eating dead animals simply isn't fur?
I think that's supposed to be
fire.
fit. I think that's supposed to be fit, and they typoed.
Simply doesn't fit with the Doctor's moral compass, since, as Christopher Eccleston so aptly said, the show has the central message of love for life in all its forms.
And wasn't that Christopher Eccleston that ordered the steak and chips?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And the letter
He was also the one that almost boned a tree. So,
The letter also notes that considering all the benefits of eating vegan has for a person's heart, it'd be doubly beneficial for the Doctor. So this might be a tongue-in-cheek letter, or one that they realize may not go very far.
It's PETA.
PETA, they're crazy.
PETA doesn't have a sense of self-awareness.
No, they don't.
This though is PETA UK.
Yeah.
So they might be doing it slightly tongue-in-cheek.
I would add that PETA is the company that was so crazy that they decided to release porn on the internet, intercut with the massacre of animals to try and push their agenda.
All that said, PETA does a lot of terrible shit. The stuff they do to, involving rounding up people's pets and having them killed separate from this. Okay. I do think that this, I don't know if vegan might be a little extreme, but I do think that there is some sense in the fact that the Doctor being vegetarian during the period he was always did make sense to me for that reason, because he seems like a character that would be leaning more toward that mindset. You can read the letter.
It's actually
I didn't notice it.
It's a pretty short letter. It's in the article, so let's read the letter here. Dear Chris, we at PETA like so many.
Oh, it's a link to it.
Yeah, there's a link to it. So Matt, if you want to, you can go to the link and let people see this for themselves. We at PETA, like so many devoted Doctor Who fans worldwide, are excited to see Jodie Whittaker step into the Doctor's shoes. Download it.
Oh, it's probably because
it's a PDF.
That's probably the way your Firefox opens it. Yeah, I think. Yeah, opening in Chrome, it just views it, but I think... Or are you viewing in Firefox still?
I'm viewing it in...
That's probably why.
I'm doing this all in Firefox, and it's not letting me open it in Firefox.
So I think that's the difference between how Firefox and Chrome deal with PDFs.
All right, so... are excited to see Jodie Whittaker step into the Doctor's shoes, but before she begins to navigate her way through space and time, we have a request we hope you'll consider. Make the character vegan. Eating dead animals simply doesn't fit. That was actually the article that typoed it, not PETA. Doesn't fit with the Doctor's moral compass, since, as Christopher Eccleston so aptly said, the show has the central message of love for life in all its forms. Animals, like humans, are smart and sensitive and feel pain, but in the meat, egg, and dairy industries, they're crammed into windowless sheds, torn away from their mothers, forcibly impregnated, mutilated, and sent to an early death, and many are slaughtered while they're still conscious. Not only is switching to a vegan diet infinitely kinder to animals, it's also one of the best ways to protect planet Earth, as animal agriculture is a major producer of the greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. Plant-based foods are naturally...
That is actually true, by the way.
It is.
Yeah.
Although it's mostly beef.
Right. And it's mostly beef, yes. Anyway.
Okay.
Continue.
Plant-based foods are naturally cholesterol-free, as well as rich in vitamins and minerals, and a vegan diet can reduce our risk of suffering from cancer, obesity, and diabetes. Considering all the benefits that eating vegan has for a person's heart, it is doubly beneficial for the Doctor.
Diabetes, cancer, maybe. Obesity and diabetes, false.
Yeah.
Both of those are linked to sugar, not fat.
Mm-hmm. I think somebody over there needs to learn to eat chicken.
Okay, so vegan foods really have come a long way since the nut cutlets of the Sixth Doctor's time. There are tasty options readily available to suit every appetite.
They suck.
Even if that's for faux fish fingers dunked in soya custard.
Ugh.
We hope the new doctor will join us in taking a stand for animals and inspire others to switch to a healthy, earth-friendly, life-saving diet. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration. Yours sincerely, Elisa Allen.
Well, I got to give them props for actually knowing
Some
the-
good actual
Yeah.
facts, yeah.
the Doctor Who references.
Right.
And
but
some
yeah.
references.
I've been doing my research recently on obesity, and really it's linked to sugar rather than fat.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was for years that they were telling us it was fat because of
Right.
big bribes from the sugar industry.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Um,
it is interesting because I remember all my life it was fat this, fat that, and then as I become an adult, it's carbs, and I'm like, okay, carbs have nothing to do with fat, and that's exactly what any weight loss site that I've seen in the past few years have said. Carbs have nothing to do with fat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sugar, and it's processed sugar.
Mhm.
And I have to give props where it's due.
Mhm.
It's Adam Conover that actually clued me in on this.
Yeah, we learned from one of our food health kind of little seminars from the grocery store I work at that we went to. Like low fat or fat free like salad dressings are low in fat, but they're very high in sugar.
Oh,
to
yeah,
kind of
most-
maintain the
So it's
taste.
terrible.
Most
Mhm.
fat-free stuff adjusts makes up the difference for the loss of fat by adding sugar, which
And it
means
makes it just
most
as worse.
fat-free foods will actually make you fat.
And it's not just
Mhm.
for taste; it's also for structure because sugar lends like a crystalline structure to things, so it maintains
Looks
the
shiny.
gumminess of or the runniness and the gumminess of some of the salad dressings we talk about and stuff. The consistency, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I would also add that one thing that PETA doesn't take into consideration is the fact that some human bodies can't be vegetarians. There are some human bodies that just can't process the stuff the same as a full-on vegetarian can, and matter of fact, it can kill some people. So for what's good for the goose isn't necessarily good for the gander, and they don't really like to take that into consideration.
Also, the fact that the doctor, eating plant-based foods, like I think Bill said earlier, the doctor's known some pretty uppity vegetation life.
Yeah,
At this point,
he might not see a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. He doesn't see a difference between plants and animals because they all can be nasty.
Now I'm just imagining a hipster doctor. I only eat single-celled organisms.
And that's when
A
the entire audience
diatom.
face palms.
Hand me my diatoms.
Also, I have tried some of the vegan stuff. Like, I've had vegan burgers before. Disgusting. Terrible. We'll never buy them again.
They vary wildly.
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm a person who just generally, if I don't have something that at least tastes like meat, my body will not feel full. So I've never even come remotely close to considering it. But I have, on occasion, had a good, mushroom meat alternative or things like that. But there's also a lot of crap out there.
There is. There's a company around here called Amy's that makes veggie burgers that aren't bad because I've eaten them and I've enjoyed them.
I've had their chili.
I assume tongue-in-cheek, Vexy says, yep, it killed me once.
We sell vegan eggs at work for $8 for 4 of them.
But at the same time,
you sit on the egg and a vegan comes out.
No, it's basically powdered protein that you add water to and then you fry it up like an egg.
Mm. So in other words, it's like rehydrated potatoes.
Yeah.
That's what they call egg substitute. It's what half of your scrambled eggs in a cafeteria are made out of.
Yeah.
Yep, and there's a Kappa face, so yes, Vexy was being tongue-in-cheek.
But yeah, it's a lot of there's a lot of it that's just junk, and there's every now and then you'll find something that's decent.
Yeah, it's very touch and go. Anyway, I guess we're still trying to pan for time.
Oh God, we'd have to fill 25 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, unless anyone has something that they actually were planning on mentioning,
Well,
we
there
don't need
was
to
the
fluff it up.
opening.
But if you had something you wanted to talk about, okay, yeah,
The
you
opening.
want to go into that since I think you know a bit more than I do.
I have been researching over the past couple days, yes. Actually, why is this tab not working? Oh, it's weird. It's like it opened a double tab for that last article, but the second tab didn't open. Oh, wait, that might have been my
The
attempt to
download
open
attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it did. Okay. So, Nakajima. I've figured out how to type his name now. Or at least his last name. I'm trying to Haru Nakajima. Yeah. So, I believe it was Monday night. Yeah, Monday night. U.S. I do believe. Howerton Nakajima died. Nakajima was the original Godzilla. He did suit work for Tsuburaya's TV shows, including but not limited to Ultraman. Besides Godzilla, he played several other monsters that appeared in the Giant Monster universe for Toho, including but not limited to Varan, one of the Gargantuas, Baragon he played actually a couple times, and Rodan, the original Rodan, and a few other creatures throughout. Nakajima is probably one of the first really popular suit actors. The man almost single-handedly made giant monsters into what they are now. As at least acting-wise, he was a big inspiration for people to get into suit acting. And he was also probably one of the first guys to really show you that a good actor inside of a suit can make anything look much better, even if the suit itself is kind of meh. He started playing Godzilla. The first movie released in 1954. He would continue to act in science fiction films and fantasy films until 1972, when he retired after Tsuburaya left Toho. Tsuburaya, I believe, died in 73 or 74, and his son then took over. His oldest son then took over the company. Tsuburaya Productions, as it was called at the time. Nakajima got big into going to conventions, I think in the 80s is when it started to become a big thing for him. So he started doing the rounds with like all of the major actors that would play Godzilla for more than a handful of times. So the other two Godzilla actors after him, he would regularly do conventions with. As a matter of fact, they hung out together almost like family at points. And from what I understand, he's a really nice guy. He's had a family. I think he had only one daughter, though. How he got noticed was because he was actually a stuntman. He was actually a couple of different soldiers, apparently, in Seven Samurai. Usually somebody who was getting shot from behind, but he did have one guard character that he played for a main on-screen part where he actually did lines. He also played a pilot that had to jump out of an airplane in an old propaganda film from Japan during World War II. Because of his supposed energy in jumping out of a plane while on fire, they decided he would be a good pick for a giant monster. Anything else you want to know?
Well, no, I mean, this guy was... I mean, you're mentioning he's doing propaganda stunts in World War II. He was old.
Yeah. He was, I believe, 25, 24 when he first started acting. And that was during the 40s. He died at the age of 88. I should mention that. And he died of pneumonia.
So not entirely unexpected.
Yeah. He died of complications with pneumonia. He was 88. He obviously had a pretty decent run it would be even better if he had at least 2 more years. But
By the way, that's pneumonia, Matt.
I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Yes, but that's the correct way is pneumonia.
Yeah, whoever
It's
you
not
heard
the it's not the way
other
it's
is
spelt.
wrong.
If it was spelt, it was said that way, it would be with an A.
Because it's Latin.
Well, that's what you get for putting Latin there.
Most medical terms are in Latin or Greek, Matt. Pneumonia being a illness is a Latin or Greek term. It's the same place we get pneumatic.
Yep.
It's not even just a P, by the way, Vexy. It's a PH. If I'm not mistaken.
PN.
PN.
If you're saying the starting 2 letters. I'm kind of wishing now, like especially if they had known, like I don't know, you said he was still. Did you say he was still working until he died? Or
No.
did I
He
misunderstand that?
retired acting in '72.
Oh, okay.
But he's been doing conventions for decades now.
I thought you said something about him doing props until recently, but I was only half focused, so I could easily have misheard.
No, he was doing convention circuits with all the other 2 Godzilla actors from Japan for like the last couple decades now.
I was just thinking how amazing it would have been if they had managed to get him as like a cameo in one of the Power Rangers movies, as this is how far the craft has come in the decades, and here's an homage to one of the people who started it all.
Just have him like appear out of a building and just go, "Oh no!" and quickly walk away.
Or like in that same crowd scene that Jason David Frank and Amy Jo Johnson were in the new movie, something like that.
But yeah, I don't know that he did actually any cameos, but he has told stories about when he was trying to figure out how to do the art of it, and he was not against getting up on his feet and showing people how he kind of acted inside the suit in real time, as opposed to the slow motion of suitmation, as they dub it in Japan. And matter of fact, all 3 of them liked getting up together and showing how they did their slightly different ways. In particular, Nakajima liked to bring up his hands almost like head height and then kind of strut forward with big strides. The guy after him kind of had the arms more forward and more open, and the hands wide open, and then he'd aggressively smack things out of his way. And then Millennium had to like lean way forward because of the heavy spines, and then crouch march forward, essentially. Matter of fact, yeah, the Millennium has a funny story too, really quick. That apparently his first day in the suit, he accidentally hit a building over with his tail, and when trying to apologize, he knocked 3 more over.
Somebody has a loud cricket.
Somebody has some major crickets.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's me. I'm over.
You're by the window.
Are you on a laptop outdoors in the middle of a field?
Cricket? Man, you gotta know what a crumpet is to play cricket.
Or you start playing cricket.
Chirp, chirp, chirp.
It's just a very aggressive cricket right outside our balcony here. Insistent, you might say.
That's a cricket looking for a girlfriend, let me tell you.
It's either that or it's found its way inside and is avoiding the cats somehow.
No, if it was avoiding the cats, it would be very quiet.
Since we're between major topics, and I just found this interesting fact, apparently, if you have switched to an e-reader out of economic necessity, but you miss the smell of old books, there are candles, air fresheners, and perfumes to help make up for that and to give you that smell. So
I can't wait for old book smell candles.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go off some old books here.
I hope someone has given Tony Head one of those candles. At least if he's anything like Rupert Giles.
Okay, I've got another side topic. So Rick and Morty has recently started up on Cartoon Network again. and it looks to be topping its previous 2 seasons with the 2 episodes we've seen thus far. Wouldn't you say so, Aaron?
Mm-hmm. Pickle
She
Rick.
says, Pickle
I
Rick.
have a mouthful
I'm a pickle.
of M&Ms. I'm a pickle Morty. I turned myself into a pickle.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
And Morty was
the-
not really that enthused by it.
The
He
first
never
episode
is.
we saw was a post-apocalyptic kind of Mad Maxy satire with a few touches of Fallout and a couple of other things in there that made it very amusing. And this one, Rick turns himself into a pickle to get out of family therapy and winds up getting washed down the storm drain and into an adventure. As a pickle, mind you.
Yeah.
And not like a giant pickle, absolutely pickle-sized pickle.
That's why I've seen people on Twitter with pickle avatars.
Probably.
And man, does he know how to pickle. He
No,
pickles it real good.
Is this a dill or a gherkin?
Kind of hard to tell. I would think it was a dill because at one point he actually takes damage from a bullet, which takes out a chunk out of the side of his pickle, and he has to dress the wound using mustard and a little bit of a twist of tomato juice, and then he uses a pickle off of a burger as a bandage.
So most likely
Yeah.
a dill.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be referencing it enough.
He knows how to make power armor out of rat skeletons and brains.
Yeah.
Brains.
It's pretty much a direct send off of the first Iron Man movie, as he goes gonzo on sewer rats and then proceeds to fly up. It's an interesting set of satirical humor they're going for this time, with an underlying theme of family in crisis as far as falling apart. So kind of cool. Although the Szechuan sauce has not come up again.
No.
Oh, also, I think I've actually heard that Rick and Morty is moving to Netflix. Hopefully season 2 comes soon.
Oh, I'll have to catch up on that.
I believe season 1 was already there, but they've been holding back on season 2 for some reason, and I've already
'Cause
heard
I
that
know
season
it's on
3
Hulu.
is coming to Netflix.
I know it's on Hulu. I don't know anything about Netflix.
Yeah,
Let
season
me go
2 is
check.
on Hulu.
I forget where I heard it, but it was from some sort of TV news thing I heard that it was moving to Netflix sometime soon. They didn't have an exact date as to when yet.
They've only got the DVDs for Hulu.
For Hulu?
Or not for Hulu, for Netflix.
Gonna say.
So it's not even on download there.
Mm-mm.
So they haven't moved it yet, but they have promised that they are going to, so wait and see.
Rick and Morty is very much in demand, and it's still probably one of the best things to come out of Adult Swim.
In a long while, yeah.
At least since the Boondocks, anyway. At least since the early seasons of the Boondocks. The last season or two was kind of crappy.
Anything else?
No.
That covers Rick and Morty. Oh, I actually, I've seen the trailer for the Justice League movie not too long ago. I will say that Cyborg finally doesn't look like a PlayStation 2 graphics, so they're getting better at it. It's starting to improve. How much it's going to improve, I'm not sure. Also, the second Thor trailer came out because of Comic-Con, and that also still looks really good. Can't wait for November.
Yeah. So in an attempt to catch up on my viewing, I finally see the finale for the CW stuff. I mentioned this to Bill the other day. The Flash managed to completely piss me off.
It was Moffat like. in some ways.
No, it was
Oh
it
my.
was worse than that. It invoked causality in one breath and then completely ignored it in the next breath.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff just annoys the crap out of me. If you do it one episode and ignore it the next episode, I can grit my teeth and deal with that.
Yeah, it's
But
really
when it's
weird when you have a
literally 10
closed
minutes
loop.
apart.
Mm-hmm. It's really weird to have a closed loop where, you know, the effect loops directly into the cause. Remove one of them and there's absolutely no consequences.
Yeah.
So in other words, the plot to Final Fantasy, only they didn't make the bad guys stop, which is really weird. I'm old. The fact that I know that plot. I bet you if you thought that because it's called Final Fantasy, it's just a straight up fantasy story. Nope.
No, there's some time travel involved. In that
Last
bullshit.
act in that involved robots and time travel, so yeah, that changed.
Well, actually, though, you know, thing is that classic D&D, I mean, you know, like pre-advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the original stuff, had a few things that hinted that there was a destroyed super advanced civilization that lived on the world that you're adventuring on.
Oh hell,
it
dude!
was
Lord
the
British's
ruins of
D&D
Blackmore
game
or
apparently
something.
included phasers and spaceships, so. So yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff when you delve deep enough into it. Oh, anything else?
No, I think
Other than the
that's it.
crickets?
Loud, noisy cricket.
It's not that loud from over here. My microphone just must be super sensitive.
Here's that cricket. Goes to town.
Oh yeah, it's definitely Aaron's end.
Mm-hmm.
That's how nice it does get out here at night, though. That's kind of cool. Considering the fact that we're downtown or next to downtown in
You can still see cricket.
a fairly large city.
Well, that's because your apartment complex is right next to a nice big grassy hill, too. So that helps.
Mm-hmm.
On one side you got a big grassy hill that slopes down to the highway, and then on the other side you got a hospital.
No, the hospital's several blocks away.
Well, a building related to the hospital, I should say.
No, it's the Red Cross on the other side. Not really a hospital. You just go there to give blood. And actually, I think it's mostly their corporate office, so...
Anywho.
Alright, so 5-minute challenge.
Yep, onto the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I went last time.
Yeah, I think it's my turn.
Yeah, I think, it's about time for you to do your turn. Alright, stopwatch is ready.
Just a moment.
Take a drink.
Watery fruit punch. Alright. So, give me a countdown.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
So, Jago and Litefoot are indulging in their usual night at the, what's the name of the tavern? The Red
Tavern.
The Red Tavern.
The Red Tavern. And they're listening to Ellie, the barmaid, give her story of a recent trip she made to a table knocker. And the fact that the table knocker seemed to know remarkably more than she should. I mean, initially they're scoffing at, oh, well, she's leading you, or she's leading her, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But then she knows information about the death of Ellie's brother, which we might remember from the first episode. And that's enough to get Jago and Litefoot thinking, and they join Ellie in making a trip down there the next day. Not before, however, Litefoot is woken up by a young lad who is looking for his missing wife, who has been acting weird ever since she made a similar trip to the same table knock. Well, they go there, and Jago basically proves the woman to be a fraud by having her lead on information about his aunt, then reveals it's actually alive. And they kind of leave in disgust. But Ellie remains behind and agrees to attend another seance, after which she disappeared. A fact that Jago and Lightfoot doesn't find out until the next. Well, Lightfoot is called to a medical crisis. So Jago goes back to the table knocker. What was her name? I can't remember.
I can't remember offhand.
Not remembering off the top either.
Either way, he goes and finds Ellie there acting very, very odd, as if she doesn't know him, and that she now claims to be the table knocker's assistant. And he agrees to go in for a seance, since he's trying to get to the bottom of this. And
Mrs. Vanguard.
Mrs.
Vanguard.
And so Mrs. Vanguard runs this seance, and in it these ghosts seem to come out, these spirits. And while Jago's looking at this in shock, this cabinet opens up and something weird happens. Meanwhile, Lightfoot is investigating the burning death of a lady that is apparently the young man's wife. As they're revealing this, apparently she died by spontaneous human combustion. Something that is, Lightfoot says, is supposed to be impossible. But he does make the connection between her and Ellie, and quickly heads down to Vanguard's house. And there they oversee Jago and Ellie talking, and Jago is also acting strange. Meanwhile, in apparently some kind of void abyss, the spirit of Jago finds himself and eventually finds Ellie, and they're kind of reacting with shock to apparently being dead. Jago talks Lightfoot into going down and having a seance with Vanguard again, during which he reveals to them that they are possessed not by spirits, but by aliens from the future, who are coming back to change the course of history, and they need to inhabit bodies to do this. Meanwhile, the real Jago and Ellie have found their way back to the cabinet, and after Lightfoot knocks out the possessed Jago, they make contact using a Ouija board, open the cabinet on their instruction, and when the seance goes on, they re-inhabit their bodies, knock out the Vanguard, and then in a last-ditch effort to reunite with his dead wife, the man basically stares at the cabinet himself and spontaneously combusts, taking the house with it. When Vanguard comes to, she remembers nothing about being a actual seance person, admitting to being a fake and remembering nothing about these events. Jago and Lightfoot go back to the Red Tavern to reflect on the situation. Pretty much the end of story.
All right. You did it in 5 minutes, 24 seconds.
Not like we didn't have the time.
Right.
All right. So, what you liked about the episode? I haven't rolled, have I? I take it you didn't. I can do this real quick.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've been a bad boy this week. It's not been a good week for me. Actually, Bill had to do all the news as I have a bunch of stuff I'm behind on.
Yep.
So and I'm not exactly in the best of health. Which, by the way, is not helping things.
He's been questing for the DVDs that are not yet in existence yet, and the Holy Grail has not been found.
Matt, you are up first.
I'm up first again today. Okay.
Yeah, roll the 3, and you're the third name.
Okie doke. So favorite thing overall?
Yes.
Trying to think. I like the fact that they decided to dabble on the mysticism stuff that was popular at the time, by the way. It's the same with the table knockers. And I like the fact that they made a lot of references to what they used to do for those sort of things. So they were legit finding legit things that used to be how they would figure out how to call these people out on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that little sense of realism before the big, crazy stuff suddenly starts to hit about 2/3 of the way through.
All right. Bill?
So I guess I just kind of like the whole mystery behind, first Vanguard seems fake, and then she's actually real, but then she's kind of fake, and, the whole trying to figure out what she actually is. I think that was done very well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Aaron?
What was Matt's again?
I just generally like the overall feel of realism to help build up when we hit the supernatural stuff or the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I liked how Jago was not taken in. That's he seems so gullible, he seems so cowardly, and he seems like someone who would, maybe fall for Vanguard's tricks, and then you realize, well, he works in this industry, so he's pretty familiar with all the tricks associated with some of the scams that spiritualists at the time were known to do, mediums anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really kind of like that because it made his character, he still comes off as something of a buffoon, but he's also kind of sly, like a fox.
He kind of second doctors it.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
He'll come off as silly at first, but there's a little bit of intelligence still tucked away in there.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the grand show, if you will.
Exactly, and this episode really played towards his strength in that area,
mm-hmm.
and his knowledge. So yeah, that was my favorite part.
All right, Tim.
I really liked the moments of humor throughout this episode, especially in the interplay between Jago and Lightfoot themselves. That sort of like they're almost like started having their own secret language with each other, I think.
All right. So, I really liked, I think I'm up to me. Yes, I'm up to me. I really liked the pacing of this episode. It felt a lot better than the previous 2 episodes. It had enough going on that it didn't feel like a straightforward railroad, but the plot was still simple enough to not feel overly cluttered. And
didn't feel like it needed to stop for fluff.
Right. You pretty much got what you needed, and you felt like you had listened to a full episode. So I appreciated that. All right, bad aspects of the episode. And Matt, you're up first.
I think the only bad thing I can really think of is that they didn't really explain where these spirits are coming from very well. The quote-unquote spirits, these people from the future, wherever they may be from. My takeaway was that they're supposed to be humans from the future, but that's not a guarantee either.
There's also a monster involved. There's a monster that seems to be guiding them, or that they're running away from, maybe?
No, there's a big light when the thing activates to bring the spirits out. The quote-unquote spirits out.
I know, but there's also something larger.
Not that I recall.
It was a reference at the very end of something that was in, like, sort of like, he didn't give a lot of details as to what it was, but it was in the process of the time travel or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Bill?
This is what we dislike.
Yes.
I'm actually, I think, going to take a pass because I couldn't quite put my finger on one thing.
All right. Aaron?
I kind of felt that Toby was kind of a dud as a character. He was pretty much there as a companion role for Lightfoot.
To explain things, too.
Yeah, to explain things, too. He was always kind of asking questions. I mean, kind of Ellie...
He was there to ask the questions that Jago should have been asking.
Yeah, well, the thing is that Jago's on the other side with Ellie, and Ellie's asking the questions, or Jago's asking the questions to Ellie, so they're kind of playing off each other there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Toby was basically... He was just kind of a blah character that didn't really have much to him other than the fact that his wife had died, and he was driven to find out what had killed her.
And turn into a red shirt.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tim?
I am a bit concerned about the lengths that Jago and Lightfoot are going to keep Ellie from learning the truth about her brother Jim.
Well, the thing is that it's a really complicated matter, and the fact that he died trying to protect people is technically true.
And, the fact that, it was technically Jago that shot him.
In order to help keep people protected.
Yeah. So it's not really, it's not something that they really want her to know because it's very complicated and might make her hate them.
Mm-hmm. It's not the kind of thing that you would want to willingly force somebody into, especially someone who's not in the realm of the know of this kind of crazy stuff that they're neck deep in.
Right. Because I think this is the first one that she is an active participant in, right?
Pretty much.
She's a little bit of an active participant in the first one, but it's more of a...
But she never actually sees anyone turn into a werewolf. But yeah,
No.
I think she... Did she even see the werewolf? I forget.
I think she saw the werewolf.
The first one,
I think she just didn't know that her brother started to turn into one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I didn't like about this is I felt the villains were a little bit of an XP of the Gelf from The Unquiet Dead.
Oh, I was thinking that too.
Mm-hmm.
And this was written after that, so that is a valid complaint.
Because, they're bodiless aliens from another place coming to Victorian England to masquerade as spirits and inhabit the bodies of humans. Yeah, that's pretty much the Gelf's MO minus the whole gas thing.
In which case, it may actually be a better retelling of that story.
But still, it does make it lose some points for originality when you realize it wasn't quite original.
Yeah.
All right, favorite scene. Matt.
Favorite scene. Which one to go with? I think I'll go with Jago trapped in the shadow realm, if you will, and whistling and singing to himself, and that suddenly gets Ellie to pop up.
All right.
Because she's hearing something other than the wails of the damned.
All right.
Okay.
Bill?
I can't really put my finger on why, but that scene with the Ouija board, I just enjoyed that. I can't really explain why.
Well, the
Just
characters
enjoyed
working
it.
really well together.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron?
Let me see here. I like how Jago quotes back much later on in the episode, to Shakespeare to Lightfoot about the undiscovered country, whereas before Lightfoot had used Shakespeare's kind of an excuse to come off as more studied and kind of put down Jago. Jago kind of points out that he knows his own Shakespeare and that he's able to pull a few quotes out of the air to teach Lightfoot a lesson on stuff.
I think the quote Lightfoot used originally was, "There are more things in heaven and earth than is in
Right.
your philosophy."
Yeah.
Basically a reminder to keep an open mind.
And Jago, of course, operating in the theater, would know his Shakespeare a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again,
At least by osmosis.
Yeah,
If nothing
it
else.
at least shows that Jago is a bit more intelligent than what some people take him as. You know, a lot of people, the audience, at least I, as an audience member, would think that he was kind of a little bit of a grifter and whatnot. But
He does seem to serve the comic relief role a little more. And in most of the episodes in here, he actually seems to take the center stage. All right. That was yours, Aaron?
Yep.
Okay, so Tim, your favorite scene.
My favorite scene is where one of the spirits is talking to Jago, and he talks about creating a race of atomic supermen to conquer the world.
Actually, that was
I think
to
that
Lightfoot.
was to Lightfoot, because that was the spirit in Jago's body.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Got your characters mixed around a little.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Still, that was a good scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So my favorite scene, I think, was at the beginning, where Jago defrauds her. Just that whole bit where he just lets her lets her lead him, and then reveals the person that he was leading was
Tell her to see her next month.
Yes. Tell her I'll see her next month. No, she's fine. She's just gotten engaged to the and it's just immediately.
And then step by step, I like, oh, look in here. There's a fake trap door. Obvious.
Yes.
I've seen this before. And oh, look at your little string that you pulled with your ring. Nice touch. And pulls it, and then knock, knock, knock. Yep, that's where that sound effect comes from, etc., etc.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect defrauding of a seance person. It was just beautiful. Honorable mention, by the way, would go to Jago getting his body back at the end, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And I appear to be all wet. Oh, actually, another really good one, too, at the very end of the audio. Lightfoot, may I ask you a question? Yes. Why would I happen to have a black eye?
Yes. All right, least favorite scene.
Ooh.
And Matt.
I might have to pass. I can't honestly think of a really bad scene. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass.
Bill.
Okay, so the scene that annoyed me was the scene where what was his name? Todd, I think. Where he was shouting about how that
Tovey.
corpse wasn't his wife and this and that, and as much as there's some understandability to that comment, I just felt the scene went on too long and it just went back and forth too much.
Yeah, that kind of became circular, I guess.
Aaron?
Trying to think. I don't really think there's anything off the top of my head that really stood out as being terrible. I guess. Maybe Toby about ready to explode, I guess, because that seemed to drag on as well. Like, he kept telling them, run, leave me behind, I'll take your place and I'll, blow up the...
I'll close the exit, yeah.
Yeah, he'll close the exit, so
he's basically pulling a Gwyneth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He'll close the link. As a matter of fact, I think that's what he said. He would close the link, and that's almost a ripoff of...
Exactly of what Gwyneth said, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is unoriginal, and it's also kind of really drawn out because they're all trying to figure out how to save him, and it's obvious that they can't.
Somebody needs to do it.
Yeah. That's it for me, though.
All right.
Tim?
I'm gonna have to pass because I couldn't think of anything.
All right. Mine is the same as Bill's, but for a different reason. Yes, shouting on how that's not his wife and everything. And then they mentioned the fact that I think like she spontaneously combusted or something. It's like, how could she do that? How my wife couldn't do that? I mean, he almost 180s himself within like 3 breaths.
Yeah.
And that just kind of bothered. All right. Is there anything anyone else wants to say about this episode?
Not much.
No Dr. Tulp, which
Actually,
is not
that's
necessarily
right.
a bad thing because he has not been
He's not been
exactly
the
a
most effective
powerful
villain.
presence.
Yeah.
See, I think that's what the monster referenced at the very end was supposed to be.
Spoilers.
I think. Well, no, we're guessing.
Wait, are you actually saying that that's what it is?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Because that was my
Yusuke.
speculation as well. Is
Yeah.
that's going to be Tulp? It's like they're mentioning it. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be Tulp.
Because for one thing, tulp sounds suspiciously close to the word tulpa, and if you know what a tulpa is, it is a creation of the mind. It's a monster created through meditation and focus, usually taking on the appearance like a doppelganger of the person who's meditating, and then slowly morphing and growing out of control.
Oh God, is it? We're getting the adherence of the repeated meme again, huh? We haven't reviewed that episode yet.
I was thinking more along the lines of the id from Forbidden Planet.
No, I had to go with the Doctor Who reference, the Doctor Who podcast.
But I'm going for the classic sci-fi reference.
Anybody else have anything to say about the episode? Anybody?
Seen Forbidden Planet only once.
Going once. Going twice. Final thoughts. Matt, you're first.
Overall, I think it was a pretty solid story. There are little tiny flaws here and there, but I think this one's actually probably better than the last two altogether. Very good character acting. The plot didn't fall apart all that much in the seams, and the one thing I usually have a complaint about is actually not part of this episode at all, if only for a slight mention of him.
All right. Bill?
Okay. Much the same way. Yeah, I'd probably say the story is at least as good as the previous one. Pretty solid, and a good mixture of detective work and the supernatural. And I guess not much in the way of final words because everything's been said already.
All right. Aaron?
I really quite enjoyed this. I think the various aspects of Victorian culture, such as spiritualism, belief in spontaneous human combustion, all lend like a really interesting little bit of horror aspect to it, as well as the episode being grounded in reality and just kind of flowing a lot better. It was a simple story that was told very well. The sound was done very well, like a lot of the special effects in the sound. It was easy to follow. There wasn't any scene or anything that left me kind of confused or wondering what the heck was going on. I knew exactly what was going on. So I really enjoyed this episode, and I do think it's the best one that we've listened to so far.
All right. Tim?
I agree with Aaron that this was the best episode, but I think it's also far and away the most well-written episode I've listened too. It had a good balance of funny bits as well as focus on the supernatural and the macabre. And great development for our title characters.
All right, is that everything, Tim?
Yep.
All right. I agree that this is probably the best out of the 3 episodes we've heard thus far. When looking back, and we're going to look at where Jago and Litefoot production got its feet, this might be the episode. Even with the derivativeness from The Unquiet Dead, it still is better written, better felt, better paced than the previous 2. The characters are interacting with each other very well, and it all in all seems to be a better written plot. All right. So ratings. Matt, you're first.
I think I will go for 4 on this one.
Same as you gave the last one.
Yeah.
All right.
The last one was barely a 4. This one's definitely a solid 4.
All right. Bill.
I think I gave a 4.5 last week, and this one's on the same par, so I'd probably say the same thing.
Okay. Aaron.
I really enjoyed this one, so I'm going to make this one my first 4.5 for this series.
All right. Tim.
I was going to go and go ahead and give this a 4.5.
Okay. And yeah, I have to give it a 4.5 as well. It would have been a 5 if not for its derivative nature. So Matt is our Lobie of the week.
I'm the Lobie. How does
Our
that
Doubting
happen?
Thomas. And that will
Thomas.
average our score out to a 4.4. So, ooh, getting a high rating here. Da, da, da.
Hope that was just my phone. Apparently the chat stopped for a little while on my end. I don't know why.
So with a 4.4, the Spirit Trap, Jago and Litefoot 1.3, comes in at number 34 of 210 things reviewed. It is on par with a lot of stuff, ranging from Class, the Metaphysical Engine, or What Quill Did, The 11th Hour, Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, The Time Warrior, Suntarum Strategy and Poison Sky, Terror of the Zygons, Husbands of River Song, Face the Raven. Oh, yeah, it's in here with a lot of stuff.
Plenty of good company.
Yes, there is. So there we go, number 34.
Jago and Litefoot found its footing, so let's see where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
Found its footing at least faster
I
than some
think
shows
that's all
do.
we have to say for the Spirit Trap.
All right.
All right.
So if you enjoy listening to us and want to continue as we move on, don't forget to subscribe to us on Twitch and or on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter for news and updates. And if you want to support us and help us access more audio adventures, you can do so at patreon.com/unearthlypodcast.
All right. So on next week's show, we'll find out what Dr. Tulp has been up to with the conclusion of Jago and Litefoot Series 1 in the Similarity Engine, written by Andy Lane and starring Christopher Benjamin as Henry Gordon Jago, Trevor Baxter as George Litefoot, and Lisa Bowerman as Ellie Hickson. I believe that will also be our final outing in the Jago and Litefoot
Season 1.
Nope. We still have the revival after the podcast.
Ooh.
After the live broadcast. So, nope. Not quite the last.
Got 2 more.
So, all right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
See
See
you
you
next
then.
time.
God bless you.